Welcome back, everyone, to Yang Daily. We've got a lot to cover today. In fact, I only managed to get through Yang's Twitter feed for the most part, so we might miss a few things going on, but I think the bulk is here. Let's get into it. The debate, of course, was last night. Those tracking social media follows came out with their numbers for gains from the debate. Turns out Yang gained the second most followers from the debate. He did not attend. I can't even describe how much this amuses me. It also goes to show just how little the debates matter to voters, which is corroborated by their steadily declining viewership numbers. A lot of big names tweeted that they were missing Yang on the stage last night, and a lot also tweeted that by what they were seeing in their feeds, Yang was winning the debate. I think it's past time that we find an alternative form for voters to get to know their candidates, one which will be more informative than trading snarky sound bites. I would very much like to see Yang lead the charge on that, abandon the DNC debates, and forge a new path for others to follow. Everyone is sick of the DNC debates. Build it and they will come, Yang. The Washington Examiner went even further in an article today with the title, Andrew Yang Won Last Night's Debate Without Attending It. The article went on to describe how Yang is appealing to people by addressing real issues that no one else is talking about, and by being a real person rather than a manipulative politician. It concludes with, quote, Andrew Yang is a personable entrepreneur who treats people like human beings rather than votes. And his absence on last night's debate stage was noticeable, so he must be doing something right. Newsweek's Christina Zhao put together a nice article on hashtag America Needs Yang, trending to the number 2 slot on Twitter last night. Good job, Yang Gang. During the debate, including a list of some of the tweets attached to the hashtag from Yang Gang making their case. It's worth a look as a collection of arguments for why we need Yang, with everything from explanations of how Yang is the most electable, to a touching personal story of a boy living in a group home because his mother was addicted to meth, which connects, of course, to Yang's opioid policy, to the fact that he's the only candidate acknowledging the true state of the economy and presenting a plan to deal with it. My personal favorite, however, was from Eric Ming, who said, so far, Andrew Yang has received about as much speaking time as a normal debate. Too true, Eric. Van Jones, in a post-debate panel, said that he missed Andrew Yang tonight. Van Jones, of course, has had Yang's back from pretty much day one and never been afraid to defend Yang on air. Yang Gang love to you, Van. As for the debate itself, I did not watch it. The general consensus seems to be that it was a bore, not surprising when you take out the only person talking any sense. But it seems that Bernie and Warren carried their spat over the comments on electability of women onto the debate stage, with Warren delivering a zinger about how the men on the stage had collectively lost 10 elections and the women had lost none. Bernie reiterated his denial of the comment. The two were seen arguing further off mic. Who's telling the truth? Who knows? Personally, I'm guessing some comment was made, but that it's being remembered differently by each of them and likely taken out of context. MSNBC actually did a respectable segment with Yang, where they acknowledged how the other candidates were adopting some of Yang's talking points on restructuring the workforce for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and shifting our educational focus to emphasize less four-year college and more vocational schools. I guess they're not all bad eggs at MSNBC. Last night's donation goal was sadly missed by a couple 100,000. I expected better, but as Musk would say, if you're not missing a goal every now and then, you're not even trying to achieve anything. The goals could be set low and met, but that's not how you make history. This does break an extremely impressive record by the Yang Gang, but as long as it doesn't become a pattern, I'll only remain slightly disappointed. Yang actually ceded control of his official Twitter account to some friends during the debate last night in an unprecedented show of trust. Norm MacDonald, aka Captain Midnight, and Evan Lowe both took control of the account and sent out some tweets. Nothing scandalous was tweeted, unfortunately. A bit off topic, but the ERA, or Equal Rights Amendment, seeking to end discrimination against women, has finally passed in the last holdout state of Virginia. So, good job to Virginia, I guess? Better late than never, right? In small-town news, Zinlin Morrow tweeted a quote from a local Iowa radio station host saying Andrew Yang is also interesting to watch. The Yang Gang will caucus well, and Mr. Yang addresses issues that others have chosen not to, like automation and job losses, and his freedom dividend makes sense to many. The New York Times editorial board interview with Yang dropped today. They noticed that Yang shares the view with Bernie and Warren that the economy is not working for common Americans and structural change must be accomplished to help us. The interview actually opened with a conversation on how Yang had ridden his bike to the interview and how his hair looked, prompting Yang to respond, quote, "I feel like running for president as at least a glimpse into what it's like to be a professional woman, because I feel like I care about my appearance more now than I ever did." This, of course, regarding women being subjected to more scrutiny of their appearance in the workplace than men. There were some incredible quotes from board members. One said this: "It was clear that Mr. Yang has done his homework, traveling across the country and listening closely. He really seemed to have an almost emotional sense of what people have been going through and what the problems are. His portrait of the fundamental economic problems were more moving than Bernie's, and Bernie has been selling this for 30 years. The interview was, close quote, the interview was 90 minutes long, so I haven't had a chance to dig through it yet, but the transcript is interlaced with fact-checking and commentary from the board, all of which, from what I saw, agrees with Yang's responses. This definitely seems like an interview worth looking up and reading. Link in the description. Yang also got an indirect endorsement on his American Scorecard today from a group of 75 prominent American economists meeting at the American Economic Association. The economists came to the startling conclusion that GDP fails as a sole metric of economic health, as it ignores many important factors such as the value of non-market work, citizens' health, cost to the environment, income and wealth distribution, and my personal favorite, quality of life in general. They also cited fascinating statistics like life expectancy falling for the last 3 years in a row, record high suicide and overdoses, and pharmaceutical companies profiting from it. Nobel Prize winning Princeton economist Angus Deaton says, quote, "We've got a system that's literally killing people, and we're counting that money as part of GDP. That's gotta be crazy," end quote. J. Stephen Landfeld, head of the Bureau of Economic Analysis for 20 years, said, quote, "What's wrong with GDP is it excludes a lot of things that are important to people," end quote. It's like these economists just woke up yesterday, heard Yang speak on his American Scorecard, and just started quoting him word for word. Or perhaps they just looked up the inventor of GDP, who told everyone exactly this from the beginning. How long will it take before everything Yang is proposing becomes mainstream? A lot longer if we don't get him into office, I'll tell you that much. Yang appeared on The Daily Show's Instagram feed with Ronnie Chieng last night. Yang also tweeted today that he is to appear on Colbert's late night show. I've been a bit disappointed in Colbert's dismissive treatment of Yang in the past, but he has given some counterpoints, like his skit where God endorsed Yang. Either way, the exposure will definitely help Yang, as that's what he's hurting on most. The more people hear from Yang, the more they like him. Essence's Yesha Callahan wrote an article on Chappelle's endorsement of Yang and also mentioned in it the endorsements of Donald Glover, Eddie Griffin, and Hannibal Buress. It's really good to see these endorsements getting attention. Even MSNBC got around to reporting on the Chappelle endorsement today on The Beat. They even managed not to say anything disparaging about Yang. The New York Times put out an article on Iowa and what voters are looking for under the title, "You Make Iowans Snooze, You Lose," and quote, "We don't want Biden's electability, we want excitement." That's as much as I know since it's behind a paywall, but maybe some of you are subscribers. Univision News tweeted out a brief video clip from DMs where they asked Yang a bunch of silly questions. Nothing of real importance there, but if you've always wanted to hear Yang sing his favorite song, spoilers, it's not Return of the Mac, and refuse to leave the room until someone recognizes one of the songs of his favorite singer, then this is the clip for you. And finally, we have to acknowledge that Yang officially earned the most coveted of all endorsements last night on Twitter, that of God himself. At the tweet of God, known as just God to his friends, tweeted, quote, "I've gone 5,000 years without talking to a Chinese person, much less endorsing one, but damn it, America needs Yang," end quote. If that doesn't clinch the nomination, I don't know what could. If you're not familiar with @TheTweetOfGod, I recommend highly you visit his Twitter feed, as I discovered him for the first time last night and spent a good hour in stitches reading through his posts. And with that, I must leave you as it's past time to release this episode. For future reference, I'm trying to get these out by 4 p.m. Pacific so that people have the option to listen on their way home from work. You can see how well that's been going, but we're dialing it in, I promise. So until tomorrow, keep yangin', Yang Gang.